Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. Thank you for listening. We would like to remind you that this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Known as just a silly boy with a feely heart. Please consider supporting the show. Check us out on Patreon or simply leave a review on iTunes. Here's your host and creator of the show, Known Wells.
Hello, Feely Humans. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, Empathy. This is episode 108, and I'm your lovely host, Known Wells. Thanks for being here. Today's guest is Kev Mor, who's an artist and musician, a very talented one. There is a trigger warning for this episode. Kev and I talk about sexual abuse, childhood abuse, self-harm, suicide, so fair warning. In the episode, Kev and I talk about how we can take the things we've been through and help others, which is truly what empathy is all about. We also talk about his art and music and finding inspiration through his mental health struggles, which is something maybe all of us can relate to. Kev is very inspiring, and I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you do too. Before we get to it, though, I wanted to remind you that the launch team signups for the Feely Human Collective, which is my new mental health collaborative platform coming soon. Launch team, you can sign up right now. If you go to feelyhuman.co, that's feelyhuman.co, learn more about it, sign up, share. And for those already part of the launch team, thank you. You're the best. You warm my heart. Thank you. Keep sharing. Make sure to follow the Feely Human Collective on Instagram and Twitter at feelyhuman, as well as Facebook, facebook.com/feelyhuman. And while you're following, make sure to follow You, Me, Empathy at You, Me, Empathy on all the places, and facebook.com/You, Me, Empathy on Facebook. Okay. What else? I wanted to say that, about the Feely Human Collective. Again, it's a mental health collaborative platform coming soon. The full launch will be in February, but in January, there will be a crowdfunding campaign, which I'm very excited. I don't have a specific date yet, but keep your eyes peeled at Feely Human, and I'll be announcing it very soon. And if you join the launch team, I'll send you an email and make sure you know about it. There'll be a lot of amazing reward tiers with shirts and pins and stickers, as well as guest spots on You, Me, Empathy, and even spending the day with yours truly. Wouldn't that be fun? You can spend the day snuggling with Scooby and our new dog, Humphrey, as well as recording the podcast and maybe going for a hike, doing whatever you want to do. So look out for that crowdfunding campaign very soon in January. I also wanted to say happy holidays. If you celebrate Christmas, or if you don't, just happy holidays. Very proud of you for getting through this year. It's not always easy to get through a year, and we did it. We did it together, hopefully. Hopefully you found some inspiration and empathy, and you related, and it's helped along the way, this podcast. So thank you for being here. Very proud of you, and I love you. And I think that's it. Let's get to it. Make sure to go to feelyhuman.co and subscribe to You, Me, Empathy if you haven't. And I guess that's it. All right. Let's get to episode 108 with my guest, Kev Mor. Oh, and P.S. Sorry. The intro music this week actually is Kev's music. So instead of the normal intro music you hear on You, Me, Empathy, I dropped in one of Kev's tracks, and so make sure to listen to it because he's very talented and it's very good. So enjoy that. All right, bye.
As a child, I was free. I could do anything. But since I've been weighed down by life, loss, and sin. And I don't know what I'm doing here, but at least I'm somewhere. So I guess I've already won, yeah. I thank God to be living while I'm praying to die. And I will go where He wants me without a reason of why. I don't know what I'm doing here, but at least I'm somewhere. So I guess I've already won. Somewhere there's someone singing my sad, sad songs, and I write to find comfort, and I sing to bring you some, and I don't know why. It's about what you see, words and memories, and even the best can be outdone. And I don't know what I'm doing here, but at least I'm somewhere, and I guess I've already won.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a podcast about exploring the struggles we face in our day-to-day lives as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our mental health, our neuroses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being feely humans. You, Me, Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today I'm jazzed to be conversing with artist, folk and blues musician, and mental health advocate, Kev Mor. Hello, Kev.
Hi, Nan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, listeners, Kev is doing really awesome work in the world of making music that has kind of a message around mental health and kind of doing the work of mental health advocacy through his music and kind of healing and sort of therapeutic properties of music, which is just so fascinating and cool to me. So I'm excited to get to know him and share his story with you listeners today. But before we do that, we always start the show with a little emotional check-in. So Kev, to you, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good today. It's 3 p.m., so my day's nearing an end, and it's been nice and relaxing, beautiful weather. Went on a nice adventure with my dog. So nice. I'm feeling pretty nice. How about you?
Good. I'm doing all right. Yeah. So do you like, maybe you're like me in this way, but I get so much from my dog. Like my mental health is very much connected to my dog.
Me too, very much so. We are inseparable, and she does. I've only had a dog for the last 4 years, and it's just made a huge difference in my recovery, in my day to day as well as my overall. It just makes me feel like I have a partner, you know?
It totally does. Yeah, and they, the thing I love most about them is they see us for who we are. They cut right to our hearts.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. What kind of adventure did you on?
Well, we were in the city because I had some shows this weekend, and we stayed overnight in at a friend's house, so we got to take the train and the subway back. She's very good on the train and subway, but it's an adventure for her because she gets to sniff a lot of people.
I bet. That's fun. And when you're doing your shows, is she on stage with you?
No, she stays at a friend's house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's her name?
Okami.
Okami. Okay.
Okami. My son named her. It's anime character.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I got it wrong for the first year. I kept calling her, Okami and different names, and took me a while to get it right.
Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, I very much relate to that. My dog is very much I have a human life partner, but I have also a dog life partner, and he means so much to me. And he'll be turning 13 this year, which
Wow.
is sort of equal parts joyous and a celebration, but equal parts like makes me sad to think about,
Right. Yeah.
I just can't go there because it's just too hard to think about.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
I have not lost a pet like Okami, so that will be an experience. She's 7 now, so we have a lot of time together.
Yeah, you've got a whole life together. That's great. Yeah. Well, you asked me how I was doing. I wanted to honor that.
Thank you.
So recently, and this sort of may be triggering for some people who struggle with eating disorders. I have a lot of physical pains and issues, Kev. Like I have just like tons of allergy issues, tons of like inflammation issues and stomach issues. And I've throughout my life essentially just have gone to various specialists and have gone down paths of like, oh, this could potentially be a thing that will bring you some sort of resolve and peace in this pain.
Yeah.
And it always ends up where the doctor says, sorry, we can't help you. Like we've hit a wall. And so a couple of weeks back, I went to a naturopath, which is someone who kind of looks at the big picture and like see how all the systems are connected. And thankfully, I have really great insurance through my wife.
Nice.
Yeah. But the naturopath put me on this elimination diet. And this elimination diet is essentially like no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol, no wheat, no red meat, no eggs, just so many things I can't eat. So
yeah.
And I ate well before, like I'm allergic to wheat and soy, so I ate pretty well before, but like it's been challenging. It's been challenging, but the whole reason I'm bringing it up is my friend Becky asked me the other day, a couple days ago. She's because she knows I've had experience with eating disorders. She asked me if like, is it triggering for me? Because, I'm thinking about food and I'm like having to like journal it to see like how I'm feeling and stuff like that. And
Right.
And that could be very triggering for someone, but I was grateful that my response back to her was, no, I'm not triggered. Like I feel very recovered in that, which made me happy.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
I've had a similar instances where people have said something offhand, maybe as a joke or something, and then thought that it might be triggering for me. And then I realized, no, I'm kind of cool with it. I'm beyond this now. It's not a trigger anymore.
That's nice. That's like it reminds us that we've grown, you know?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. Well, Kev, let's delve into your story.
Sure.
Can you, I obviously want to talk about like the stuff that you're doing now, but I'd love to kind of jump back in time too, and kind of, could you give me a couple of seminal moments, a couple of just memorable moments that stick out in your brain as being important parts of your own sort of mental health journey?
Sure. Yeah. I think in order to talk about what I'm doing now, I would have to go to the previous thing and then the previous thing to explain that and all the way back. So it would make sense to start early. When I was about 10, my mental health symptoms started creeping up on me. Not really creeping up. They all kind of exploded one night. And I began hearing and seeing things. And by the age 13, I was in a locked psychiatric unit. And I was 2 years into different hospitals and group homes. And those years really shaped a lot of the person that I am now. It brought me music and art, a lot of good things, a lot of difficult things. So that was probably one of the biggest milestones that I'm actually still working through, is the things that happened, way back then, and how things snowballed from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, childhood experiences like stick with us and inform so much.
Yeah, your mind is just like Play-Doh, and you just start building these different connections that might not have been there otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were 10 at this point, and what exactly was going on?
Well, some of those memories are still blocked.
Sure.
Some of them are kind of silhouettes in my mind's eye. But where I was receiving sexual abuse in the home. And then at age 10, I have clear memories of being sexually abused by 2 different strangers that year. And I just kind of had a emotional break. It was a very physical, mental, and emotional experience that I had one night after all these things, kind of the perfect storm of sexual abuse came through.
Wow.
And I just started seeing and hearing lots of things and believing these weird things, and my life just kind of changed from there.
First of all, I'm so very sorry.
Thank you.
That's awful. And second of all, like, it is, you hear about these things happen where, sort of intense traumatic, because these are serious traumatic experiences, trigger essentially, like, psychotic is not the right word, but essentially trigger like different sort of stories that we put on ourselves to, like, as a means of like protection, as a means of escape, as a means of like just trying to paint another reality other than the vileness that is this abuse.
Well, the reality that I painted was very dark. I began seeing devils and demons and hearing them as well, which was a world that was painted on by my very religious grandmother.
Oh, I see.
Who was doing a lot of the abusing.
Oh.
So all of a sudden these demons and devils became real, and I'm 10.
Right.
So it was that one day that it all happened really kind of stands out in my mind.
Yeah. Wow. With the religious stuff too, that stuff can be so compelling, and it's so black and white. It's so like there's no margin for error.
And ironically, I have a very black and white way of thinking about me. Ever since it probably.
Now, so when you're experiencing these things, how did you get into, you said you were in like psychiatric care? Like, how did that
Yeah,
happen?
when I was 13, I was drinking and doing drugs every day, and I went to my dad, who is a really safe person for me, and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm broken and I don't know what to do. And he said, okay. His first advice was stop hanging around with those kids that you hang around with, and
Sure.
that didn't work. And he found a place for me to go. And once I got into the system, I was in there for another 2 years. I got out when I was 15 or 16.
So help me understand. This is the foster system you're referring to?
No, the psychiatric hospital system.
Okay. And was your dad at home with your grandmother?
Yeah. I lived with my mom, my dad, my grandmother, and my 7 older siblings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big family.
Irish Catholics.
Yeah. That'll do it. That Irish
Yeah.
Catholicism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were they aware of the abuse that was happening, your parents?
No, not at all. Later in life, I would ask my mother about the times where strangers took me, and she said she always knew something happened that day, but never said anything about it.
Hmm. And was that kind of par for the course in your household? You just kind of grin and bear it,
Yeah, it was a
Emotions?
speak when spoken to.
Yeah.
Keep the stuff to yourself. My father's health was very frail, so everything we could do not to upset him was done.
How did you have relationships with your siblings? Like how did you interact with them?
Yeah, probably pretty normally. I fought with them, but I also played with them.
Yeah.
The older half were, more than 10 years older than me. So when I was growing up, they were starting to move out.
Right.
And
And
we're all pretty tight now.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's great. Were you aware of any abuse that was happening to them?
No, and I haven't heard that anybody has been abused.
So when you're 13, you go into psychiatric care for 2 years.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
Unbelievable. I have so many times I've tried to write about it, and it's just too much to write about. But I made some relationships there with people that I still have today, who were going through the same thing. You're locked up and you think it's a loony bin, and the first hospital I went to was just me and kids, and the rules were things like if you swore, you would get put in the padded room for an hour, and if you resisted, you would get put in restraints for an hour, and then the padded room, and it was a tough time. And then I got shuffled. Insurances run out and you get shuffled to, lesser hospitals and such, where I was on units with adults. And as a 13-year-old, I was allowed to smoke as much as I wanted to and hang out with these grown-ups, all day, just smoke cigarettes. I didn't learn a lot.
I mean, what was the day-to-day like? Were you being medicated? Did you talk to a counselor?
I was being medicated a little bit. My first hospital was thankfully a really good one. It was up in New Hampshire, and they put me on meds. I saw counselors every day. I went to groups. I don't remember anything I learned because I was 13 and I just wanted to leave.
Sure.
But they realized that something was wrong, which was the good thing. And I told them when the insurance ran out, I said, if you send me home, I'm going to kill myself. And so they found me another place to go. And I wasn't like stuck in the system. I wanted to be there because I didn't want to go home, Because
you knew the abuse was at home.
Yeah. And because everything horrible was, at home.
When you told them that, like, if you'd go home, you'd kill yourself, did you believe that? Did you believe that to be true?
I did, yeah. I mean, I had already been cutting myself and drinking and doing drugs, just burning my brain out at age 13, so.
Kev, I mean, I just like, my heart breaks for there's so much, I mean, parenting is such a hard thing. And one of the things that I think about a lot, because I'm not a parent, but my wife and I have tried and we've sort of gone down that road a couple of times. But I think about kids who grow up in environments that are traumatic, environments that are just unsafe. And it breaks my heart so much because they have no choice in the matter,
Right. Yep. It's something that happens to them.
It does. It happens to them. And it's just like, it's such a great tragedy that exists in the world. And I hear it all the time. Like, I don't know how we move beyond that. Maybe there isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Education's huge. Yeah.
Education
absolutely.
is big. Yeah.
So after you were there for 2 years, is that right?
Well, I was through hospitals, and then I went to a group home.
Okay.
For a year before I went back home. And that was good because I was able to go to my regular school at the time.
And you were in high school at that point?
Junior high.
Junior high, okay.
Yeah. And I didn't do well in school, but I got to hang out with kids and stuff, and eventually went home about after a year. But in the group home, I had family meetings and things like that. But I would never speak about anything bad because couldn't upset my father because he was sick, and everything was just even too overwhelming for me to even verbalize, So eventually I went home, and when I was 16, I did well for a year, and then I did well and then went downhill for a year, and then I attempted suicide. By overdosing. That was another big moment. It was a very eye-opening moment for me.
And did you was there medical intervention?
Yeah, I went to the hospital. I was in a coma for 6 days. And when I woke up from that coma, I remember waking up and thinking things were going to get better from here. And I didn't know why. I think looking back, I knew things were going to get better because people were going to pay more attention. That, hey, maybe something really is wrong.
That's interesting. So do you feel like you weren't being paying attention to or being seen before?
I think I didn't feel like people believed it was as serious as it was.
I see.
That it was a life-threatening thing going on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to die. I didn't think that I could make it through this.
Right.
The intent was to die, but when I woke up, I felt better because I felt like, okay, I got their attention that this is a serious thing.
And that was a big moment in your story.
And I went to another hospital. I was out of there within 30 days. I went back home, and I did pretty well for a while.
And was your grandmother still around when you went back?
No, my grandmother had passed by the time I got back home.
Okay.
And the house was very different. People kind of walked on eggshells a bit with me. It was a little easier for me day to day. And on my own initiative, I decided not to use any drugs or alcohol. By drugs, I just mean marijuana and LSD. But I stayed straight and sober for almost 20 years after that.
Wow.
I'm not an alcoholic and addict. I was just self-medicating as a kid.
Sure.
These days I use cannabis as medication. But I have no desire to drink or, escape in that way,
Yeah. I mean, I always think like I'm open to most things, I think what's important is like why we're doing the thing,
Exactly. Your
Yeah,
intent. Yeah.
the intent. Yeah.
But that intent, that negative intent was lifted when I woke up from that coma. I just felt no desire to escape in that way anymore.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so I've never personally attempted suicide, but I've been suicidal certainly. And I think when I sort of, the doctor essentially said like, look, if you keep going down this road, your heart's going to stop. When I got that sort of message, it was a clear sort of path. It wasn't a clear path forward, but it was like an option. Like it was like, okay, I'm giving the go ahead to like move forward in a way that I don't have to, like I certainly had to make the choice, but it's almost like I felt like he gave me the path, and that felt good and relieving, because I don't think I did want to die, but I also wasn't sure of how to make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about a little bit after the suicide attempt. Like living at home, like what were you doing? Like where was your emotional state? Were you talking to therapists? Like what was going on then?
No, I didn't do any therapy or mental health, anything for the next, 20 years. I just kept all my stuff to myself and dove into music and art. But up and through high school, and after I dropped out of high school, I got kicked out of my house and went into foster care. And
why
mentally,
were you kicked out?
Well, I was doing things that were unsafe, like I was starting fires in my bedroom, which I later would learn is a symptom of someone who's been sexually abused. I didn't know it at the time. And just doing things in the house that would put other people in jeopardy. And they warned me and said, we can't have you here if you're going to do this stuff. And I couldn't stop. So I got kicked out, and the state picked me up, and I got put in foster care until I was 18.
How was living in the foster care?
It was pretty good. I know there's a lot of bad stories. I think I was lucky. I was a bit older, and I got put with someone who's used to someone who's more independent and older. So it was really more like I was renting a room, but not having to pay for it.
Right.
And I just worked full time and saved until I was out of the foster care and I could get an apartment.
And at what age was that at?
Between 18 and 19, I guess.
Okay.
That didn't go well though, because I was highly symptomatic going in and out of episodes, and I didn't know it. And I couldn't hold a job. I think within a year I was homeless. I lived in a park in Harvard Square. I lived there for a year, but my family didn't know I was homeless. I didn't want to be a burden,
I mean,
that was my thinking.
Yeah, that's your thinking, and I get it. I completely get it. And like hearing you talk about like not wanting to disrupt or not wanting to make things harder for your father who was frail, like that's so hard. Like, because the kids should be able to rely on their parents, right?
Yes, I believe my siblings were. That was the information I was being fed by my grandmother, was to not upset my father. Don't tell him anything that will make him mad, because he'll die. Yeah.
Wow.
And that might have been a way for her saying, don't say anything about what's going on between us,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But yeah.
I mean, so all this time you're homeless, and you're not talking about your mental health. Like how
I didn't really know I had a mental health issue. Like the demons and things that I saw, I didn't realize they weren't real. I just didn't tell people about them. Like I thought they were demons and they were after me, and
That's terrifying.
yeah, I mean, years later, I would kind of get used to it, and since they're gone, I don't have them anymore. But it was hard at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's I can't. It seems like one of the hardest things ever.
It inspired a lot of art and music. There's a lot of good that came out of it.
Yeah, I guess that is the silver lining of suffering, is we can create and we can learn so much and beauty.
And help others.
Help others, yeah. So were you creating art at that point in your life?
Yeah, all through high school I did art, and I went to the Art Institute of Boston, and I was performing shows at coffee houses and kind of just bleeding on paper, you know. Mm-hmm. And I still do that today, you know, art and music.
Yeah.
But at the time, I would live in the park and I would busk out on the street. Harvard Square has a big community of street musicians.
Okay. So
you can make pretty good money.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was hard living, and I got scooped up by the Army. The Army recruiter came up and said, "Hey, we can give you a meal and a place to sleep and money." I was like, "I'll take it."
Wow. And when was this?
This was 1995, I think. Yeah, and 5 or 6. But that didn't go. I got injured within the first year and medically discharged.
Okay.
I was at the time I was a wicked hippie. You know, I had tie-dye shirts on, and I was peace, love, and this, and I told everybody I'm going to join the army, and they thought I was nuts, which, you know.
Yeah, those two things seem incongruous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, but it makes sense. Like, you know, that's maybe a little safety. That's a little structure.
It's a foundation. Yeah. I didn't like the army, but nobody else is giving me food or a place to stay. And
yeah, exactly.
A job. So yeah, I jumped right in.
Did you have to take like a psych test or something to get into the army?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And somehow I made it through.
Okay.
I deal with the VA now, and they're kind of looking at that now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were in the army for about a year, get discharged. Mm-hmm. Then what happens?
Well, nobody really wanted me to go back to Boston because I was just a mess up there, burning all my bridges. And my brother kind of wanted to step up and be a big brother, and he was up in Alaska. So he said, "Why don't you come up to Alaska and see what we can do?" Mm-hmm. And so I moved up there and fell in love with the place. Began working, living with my brother, and, you know, met a girl, stayed up there for 10 years, had a son. But the whole time I was up there, I just skidded along the bottom.
Yeah.
Especially once I had my son. That relationship with his mom was very physically abusive, and I had to leave, and I have full custody of my son when he was 2. And then I was skidding along the bottom in Alaska, being homeless and not being homeless and being homeless and losing job after job with my son. You know, so now he and I are sleeping in shelters and cars, and I still don't know that I have a mental illness. I just think I was made wrong. You know what I mean?
Wow. So you're still at this time seeing, you know, demons and things like that?
Yeah, they had quieted down as I got older, and they would only happen when I got stressed out. Mm. So there were many times where my son and I would be in a shelter, and I have all these things stressing on me, and I would be seeing them all the time. But if we're going through a patch where things are going good, I don't see them at all.
And how aware was your son of what was going on with you?
I don't think he was aware at all. He was, you know, between 2 and 10. You know, he was with me. I eventually had him go live with my sister. But from 2 to 10, he was just bouncing from apartment to shelter to whatever with me. And I think that's probably what he thought life was like.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you're in Alaska. What was it always kind of hard there getting jobs? Was it always, did you ever have any steady work?
I did. I worked for the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Oh, yeah. I remember being a part of the Boys and Girls Club as a kid.
Yeah, I worked there for about 5 years as an art instructor, a music instructor. And then I went and worked for the Air Force for a few years, and I opened up a teen center for them and taught art and music. So that was kind of cool. And it was less stress, working with kids. You get to let out a lot of energy and things. So it was actually really good for my mental health.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Especially, because there's this, you hear that sort of inner child. You hear people talk about the inner child and how we need to sort of look inward and sort of address our inner children, because, especially when those children, our experiences where we've had trauma as children, right? We need to look at that person, forgive them. We need to, figure out how that person has impacted us as adults, right? All that stuff. So you sort of working with kids, that must have been so therapeutic.
It was actually intimidating at first, where I was always very intimidated by kids until I had one.
Mm.
And then all I wanted to do was be around and play with kids and do stuff with kids. Yeah, it was great for me.
Yeah, there's such a beauty in children. And I feel like we as adults need to be a bit more like children sometimes,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
There's so much we get caught up in that kids just do not. They kind of see the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a little bit like, I hate to say it, but they're a little bit like puppies, where they're very innocent and,
Yeah. Yeah. So after that experience, where do you go next?
Well, so I was in Alaska, and my son and I were homeless after a difficult romantic breakup. And I was manic. I was just full-blown manic. I couldn't work, and I was stealing food from the supermarket to feed my son and I.
Wow.
And I got arrested.
Mm.
With my son with me too, and thankfully I didn't lose my son. But when I went to court, the judge said, "You are clearly not okay."
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even form a sentence. And in Alaska, they have a special mental health court. When they think you have a mental health issue, they send you there. And so I got sent there.
Okay.
Yeah. And they said, why don't you go get seen at the hospital? And that's where my life changed. And I finally got a good diagnosis and found out what recovery was through that being arrested.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a thing to happen to sort of trigger that.
It was a difficult time, but it's such a great life-changing time for me. I wish I had known it at the time.
I know. Hindsight is 20/20, huh?
Yep.
So at what age was that?
36.
Okay.
10 years ago.
Okay. And at that point you started talking about stuff, seeing a therapist?
Yeah, I was in the hospital, and they gave me this pill that just made me settle down the next day. And I was talking to a fellow patient about her experiences, and she told me how she saw things and heard things that weren't there. And I told her I did too, and that I had never told anyone. And she said, "Well, you should probably tell someone." And I did, and it really helped with my diagnosis and get me on some medication that would help me recover.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sharing, the power of sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to know that, someone else, and they're not a bad person because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what diagnosis did you get at that point?
I got depressive bipolar 1 with psychosis,
Mm-hmm.
rapid cycling, mixed episodes, PTSD.
I see.
Yeah.
And is that the same diagnosis you have today?
Well, I've cycled between that one and schizoaffective.
Okay.
I usually go with the first one, but when I'm being lazy, sometimes I'll just say schizoaffective.
I see.
If I don't want to explain what psychosis is and things like that,
Gotcha. And the same medication you were prescribed then are you on now?
No, they prescribed something pretty strong, and within the first month, I gained 50 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I told the doctor, this can't continue. And I had to go through 2 doctors to get a change. But since that change, everything's kind of stayed the same for the last 10 years with only minimal changes. They're making the VA is, I don't even know if I can say this, but they suggested that I get rid of 2 of my meds and replace it with cannabis. So I'm looking into that option as well.
2 of the how many meds?
6.
Okay.
I also take meds for my heart too, so it will help with that as well.
Gotcha. And so you're diagnosed 10 years ago. Tell me about like the next 10 years. Like are you seeing a therapist regularly at this point? Are you starting to open up?
Yeah. As soon as I got out of the hospital, I had to go through a probation in Alaska, but I sent my son to Boston to my family because I still had to do some homelessness before I could get back to Boston. But once I moved here, I kind of started learning about this thing called recovery. And I didn't know a lot about it. I started going to support groups, and that got me lined up with a day program and a therapist. Since I was on disability, I could spend my days learning about recovery. Because if there was a way out of this, I was going to take every step that I could,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It was about, I think, year 5, I learned about becoming a certified peer specialist.
Okay.
So I took that training, and test and became a certified peer specialist in Massachusetts and went back to work full time at a mental health organization, working with homeless people with schizophrenia and bipolar. So that's kind of from Alaska. That's what I worked myself up to about 3 years ago.
Wow. I mean, that's tremendously admirable. In what capacity are you working?
Now I'm not working.
Okay.
I worked that for about 2.5 years, and I had a lot of other things go on in life during that time, and I realized the job was just too overwhelming. I had several clients take their lives, and then my mom passed, my friend passed, just everything happened, and I kind of spiraled downhill. It was like one of those things where you're doing all the right things, but the wave is just coming anyways.
Yeah. Yep.
But I connected with my family, and I said, I think I'm not going to be able to do this job much longer, and I'm afraid I'm going to lose everything, and I don't know what to do. And they kind of stepped in and helped me out a bit.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. They've been very supportive now that I've come back and I have this diagnosis that something's really wrong with me. They're like, oh, okay. And they're really super supportive.
That's lovely. That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
Especially from a Boston area family.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, so
I was working, and then I left my work. My family stepped in, but I did still end up in a homeless shelter, just through a series of events financially. I was in a homeless shelter up until 3 months ago.
Wow.
And everything during the time in the shelter, I'm putting all my resources together, getting everything all set. And now I'm in this nice place in Beverly. I can see the ocean and I have like nice security.
That's so great.
Yeah, I feel like I retired at 46.
Well, and you kind of spoke to it at the top of the recording at the beginning of our chat about, you said something along the lines of like, there's so much to say, you don't know how to say it, like in a book form, because there's so much here, Kev. Like you've gone through so much, and you're only 46. And I only bring that up just to say, like, I am in awe. Like I am amazed by you've dealt with some pretty traumatic stuff, and from one human to another, I will say that I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It makes me feel good.
Good. Makes me feel good saying it.
I have this cool thing that I'm just started working on, and it's just something local, where I'm going to be going around to different places and telling my story, but a more detailed one, and doing a talk. I tell my story from beginning up until now, and I also incorporate my music and my art to tell where I am at certain moments in my life through my story.
Mm-hmm.
Like a song that I wrote when I was living in Harvard Square, and so I'm really looking forward to that and kind of sharing my story with as many people as I can, because it helps them, I think, too.
It absolutely does. I think that sounds remarkable. I think that sounds like a really healing practice for yourself and for others, for sure.
That's just kind of it's just kind of what I try to focus on now, because I have all this time. I can't work right now, although I do work as a musician doing shows, but all this time, why not use it to help educate people, put out content that helps people cope in their current moment, and helps people identify that they're not the only one. I like to say terminally unique. That's what I used to think I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I try to do now, is just put out that stuff for other people. And the response has been great, because for a while when I left that job, I felt an emptiness that I'm not doing peer support, and I want to help people. And now I'm just doing it. I'm not working for an agency. I feel like I'm working for the internet.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're still helping. You're just helping in a little different way.
Yeah, and the internet's been great because my mental health also played a big role in, I feel like, taking away my ability to really be consistent with any type of music career. That business was just too overwhelming for me.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I have this online outlet where I can talk about mental health and I can do my music, it's just so fulfilling, even more so than going out and doing the burn your candle at both ends music business.
Sure. Yeah. That's so amazing to hear. Can you, just for the listeners, help, like when someone listens to some of your music, are they getting like what are the lyrics like? I know I've heard your songs, and they're great. I just want to, can you describe your music a little bit? Obviously you're pouring your sort of story and your heart and soul into these songs, but like, are they like directly like hearing, your experiences with mental health in the lyrics?
A lot of them. Yeah. A lot of them, especially my last album, there are songs that I wrote in the moment and how I'm feeling in the moment. There's a song called Don't Mind Me, where I just feel like a burden to everybody. And I talk about how I'm going through all this stuff, but please don't mind me. So I have those songs. Like every other artist, I also have like love songs and stuff.
Sure.
But then I'm working a lot on recovery songs that, like the last song that I wrote it's called Before. And during my last down cycle, I was having a hard time deciding whether to go into the hospital, and I used music to kind of pull me up. And a song that was really working for me at the time is called Rise Up by Andra Day. And it just wasn't working for me. And so I wrote a song that would work for me next time I'm in that situation. So I'm kind of concentrating on writing the songs that will pull me out of that funk, and hopefully that will also pull other people out of their funk.
I think the amazing thing about art is exactly that. Like as we're creating it, the process of creating it can be so therapeutic, and then the end result can be so therapeutic. That's what's so brilliant about it.
Yeah, music hit me as a kid really hard when people would start. I couldn't believe people were singing about these types of emotions and writing these types of things and pouring their heart out like they were, and I was attracted to it right away. Yeah.
Did you see the movie Sing Street?
No.
Oh man, it's excellent. It's about high school age kids from Ireland, small town in Ireland, who start a band, and it's by the same guy who made John Carney, who made the movie Once.
Okay.
About the buskers, and Glenn Hansard was in there.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. Anyways,
I have to check it out.
Yeah, it's good. So tell me about the work you're doing now with your music. Obviously you do shows and you have a Patreon. Tell me about some of the things that people can interact with when it comes to your work and art.
Sure. I'm doing kind of like a jack of all trade. I'm doing a lot of things. I work with an organization called tunefoolery.org. They're based in Boston, and it's a group of 60 musicians who all have a diagnosis. And we go out and we perform at shelters and on psych units. We also perform in public at bars and clubs, and try to fight against stigma through those performances. And we get paid, which is a hard thing to do as a musician in Boston.
Yeah.
The organization pays us to do this. And so I do, this weekend, I did 3 shows. One was on a psych unit, one was at a shelter, and one was at a walk for OCD. So that takes up a lot of time. And then online, I put out my art on Instagram that will tell people things like, I did this series where I took these selfies to show my different moods because you don't often see, people don't portray it out physically. And so I would adjust the artwork and stuff like that to portray the mood. And then I would, there's artwork that'll say anhedonia, and then what anhedonia is, and that is a symptom of mental illness. And the artwork will kind of portray that.
Yeah, I saw that one. Inability to feel pleasure.
Yes,
right?
I get that symptom pretty hard.
When you're feeling that, are you just feeling what? Help me try to understand that feeling.
The feeling is all the things that, for me, the things that bring me joy are picking up a guitar or cuddling with my dog, going for a walk by the ocean, and you just have no desire to do any of them.
Okay.
Not because of physically, but you just know it's not going to be fulfilling at all for you.
Yes. Okay. I can relate to that.
Which during that time, a lot of your coping skills stop working because they don't bring you fulfillment. So that's when I often either force myself to do them, or I go out and seek out new coping skills, which is always fun too.
It is. It is. So you're obviously having such a therapeutic, beautiful experience through your music and art, but are you also seeking that elsewhere, like in therapy or? I
do.
Yeah.
I have 2 therapists, one, a private one, and then one with the veterans.
Okay.
Because they have offered to take over my mental health, which is nice. And then I go to groups. I go to a suicide ideation group
Mm-hmm.
and a general NAMI support group.
Gotcha. Do you still struggle with suicidal ideation?
Yes, my mind, that connection is in there solid. Where when I get stressed out, my very first thought is, I want to die. What can I do to facilitate that?
Yeah.
But I'm very good over the years, have been able to realize that is just a thought
Right.
that I'm used to, and I don't need to continue that thought.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who just have ideation. It's their first trigger thought.
Yeah.
When you miss the bus, I want to kill myself.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Well, I'd love to if you're open to it, kick off this episode with one of your songs.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just need you to send me the MP3 or something, and then I can add it in to share the music with the listeners.
Yeah, that would be great.
Awesome.
It's been great talking today.
Yeah.
Is there enjoying it?
Is there anything else about your story that you wanted to share with the listeners or me?
Yeah. I just did a talk on this the other day in a spiritual wellness group, but one of the main things that I found in my life, because there's a lot of my story that you didn't hear today, of many different types of other abuses and things like that. But for me, the main thing I've learned is that they all have this beautiful purpose, that the more things that I have been through, the more people I can help. Like, you've been through sexual abuse. Oh, I can help. I can empathize. You've been through physical abuse. You've been through this. You see these things. Oh, I can help you too. I've been there. So I can do peer specialist support with a wide variety of people because I've been through a wide variety of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
to me, all the things that I've been through, it gives it a sense of beautiful purpose for me.
Well, I'm going to praise you for a second because I think you're absolutely 100% correct. That is the beauty of personal experience and having the insight to know that our experiences can impact and help others. But it taking what you've experienced and taking all those truly traumatic experiences and many of them, taking those and applying that on this level to others, that's a tremendous effort. And so I commend you for being able to do that on all those levels. I think it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I think it was born out of both inspiration and desperation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. I hear that. I always say on the show, connecting with other humans is really the most purest, beautifulest joy in the world. It's I feel like that is the purpose of life.
Yeah. My mom used to say, God works through people.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you a religious person? Are you a spiritual person?
I'm a spiritual. I'm a recovering Catholic.
Sure.
And I have my own beliefs that are more universal, more Buddhist or Taoist, I think.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit I'm very much fond of the sort of the Buddhist framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with religion, though. There's a saying, it's like a finger pointing at the moon. Some people look at the finger rather than the moon. But some people need that finger to point them to the moon.
Sure. Yeah. I have nothing against religion either. I think whatever works for you. I think where I struggle sometimes is when religion is used as a tool for exclusion and bigotry and hatred.
Yeah, it can be used for a lot of bad things.
Yeah. Well, let's let's get into empathy heroes. This is kind of the part of the show where my guests and I list an empathy hero, someone in our lives who's very empathetic. Could be a character from a book, could be a character from a movie, someone we know personally, someone we may have never even met. I will go first to give you a moment to think on it, Kev. And I didn't write one down this week, so I'm going to think of off the top of my head who should be my empathy hero this week. Well, let's see. Gosh, I'm going to cut out all this pausing. Let me think. I'm looking around my little house.
Would you like me to go first?
You know what? You go first. That would be awesome.
All right. I
You're
had
the
one
best.
pop in my head right when you said it.
Perfect.
But I'm going to choose both a person in my life and also a fictional character who are very similar to me. My best friend, Kayla Pinto, who reminds me of Winnie the Pooh. She's so nice and accepting and non-judgmental to anything you say to her, and is probably, I think she's built to listen to me. Like, she does everything perfectly when I need someone to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she says all the right things and doesn't say all the wrong things. And she really accepts it all and still loves me anyways.
We need those people.
And it just reminds me of, if you ever read the book, The Tao of Pooh.
I haven't. I think we may have that book, but I have not read it.
It just reminds me a lot of Winnie the Pooh in that book. One of my favorite books of all time.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Now you're on the spot.
I am. I'm going to list Will Wheaton, the Star Trek actor, and now someone who is very open about his mental health.
I'm a big fan.
I am a big fan as well. I'm fingers crossed, but I may get him on the podcast, which would be amazing.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I love him. He's a delight. He really cares about humanity. It's very clear in the way he operates. He's very vulnerable and not afraid to share his experiences with depression and suicidal ideation. And so Will Wheaton is my empathy hero.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not only am I a big Star Trek fan with Will Wheaton, but he's a big Dungeons and Dragons player, and so am I.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm a big fan of him in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a geek. He's a total geek.
He's a big time geek. Yeah. I love it.
You know, I love playing Dungeons and Dragons myself. I haven't played in about, it's been like over a year. But I was playing with my wife and a couple other people, and it's so fun. It's so fun. It's such especially for someone like myself I'm an introvert, but I love stories. And I the books that sort of got me into reading was fantasy. Like, I love fantasy, and the act of playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's such a beautiful creative exercise. Like, and it really like gets you out of your head and just it's almost like an improv exercise too. There's something about it that's very intoxicating.
I think it can be a great tool for mental health as well in day programs and such. But
Sure.
I could do a whole nother show on how awesome Dungeons and Dragons is.
Maybe that could be next time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, Kev, where can people follow you and connect with your music and all that lovely stuff?
Mainly I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/KevGMor. But you can find me with that name on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. KEVGMOR.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on You Me Empathy.
Oh, it's been great. I had a blast.
Good. And to you listeners, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's You Me Empathy.